Since we think life should be this way, life is not easy for anyone. Listening to the story of any successful person will make our sorrows seem very small. Can you imagine how an individual would accept the fact that he has failed and has been defeated? During the birth, the nurse's scissors cut a tiny bit wrong and eyes and lips came forward. When you grow up, you know your mother and father aren't together at all and the house is full of scumbags. Due to the riots, the area where the residence is located is known as Hell's Kitchen throughout the city. If you come to school, you will be kicked out because of being picky everywhere. Even if you get expelled from 14 schools, your name is removed from the rolls. Therefore, your divorced mother has to spend her life savings sending you to a foreign country. Maybe this will work. When a career begins, there is no decent work for 6 or 7 years. You are well presented, but you should stand in the corner and avoid opening your mouth. But despite all these failures, you are the most famous man in the world and are known more than any American president. Sylvester Stallone, who was born and raised in Manhattan, the most expensive area of New York, had a number of problems throughout his life. He became a muscular man through boxing and exercise in his youth. After returning from studying in Switzerland, he began trying his luck in Hollywood. The next 5 years were the most difficult years of his life. Since he stutters and stutters, he began to get 10th grade roles, but his dialogues weren't always given to him because of the birth defect. His speech was slurred as if he was drunk. In the meantime, he also started writing film scripts as a scriptwriter, but no one took notice. A life-changing incident occurred during this time. Watching Muhammad Ali and Chuck Wepner in 1975 was an unforgettable experience for him. Most critics called the fight a 1-2 round event, but it lasted 15 rounds. The 14th round witnessed Chuck Wepner knock Muhammad Ali down and dominate the world. Sylvester was inspired by Muhammad Ali's match and wrote a film script based on it. Throughout the next few days, he would write the story while drinking coffee. Once the script was completed, Rocky's story had developed, eventually becoming one of the world's most famous films. Another painful phase began here. Sylvester wanted him to sell the film to the production company and also cast the hero as a trash boxer in the same film. Most people refused. Those were the days when his girlfriend was about to give birth to his child and he only had $106 in his bank account. A well-known company offered him a sum of $3.5 million for the script, but even in the presence of this knowledge, Sylvester refused the offer. Finally, the filmmakers had to surrender to his stubbornness. Thus, one of the most famous films in the world came into existence. This film not only won 2 Oscars in 1976, but also earned more than $117 million at that time. Sylvester's own life was the inspiration for Rocky's story, which was based on the Muhammad Ali-Chuck Wepner fight. A neophyte dreaming of doing something big in the world becomes almost useless shortly before challenging the world champion. Through austerity, he transforms himself into steel. In the boxing ring, he is beaten and refuses to fall. He eventually succeeds after dozens of rounds, his face torn and bloodied. This is a story of an ordinary man who is a fire within himself. His performance makes him special to moviegoers. Stallone has also produced or starred in one super hit film in each of the past 5 decades, making him the only actor to accomplish this feat. His film proved to be the most popular of that decade. His films have grossed more than $2 billion worldwide. The blockbuster success of Rocky opened the doors to fame and fortune for Stallone, but not all the problems in his life were solved. Many of his films were flops in succession. A new era in his life began in the 1980s when he became Rambo. Around the world, this caused a stir. However, most of the films made in the 1990s turned out to be flops, and his acting and directing skills were heavily criticized. Despite seeming immortal and invincible, Stallone was immortal like the rest of us, and despite fighting fate, he was also helpless in front of him. He worked as a cleaner in Central Park and also seated people in theaters. I decided, like Rocky, that I would stand one more round with as much blood flowing from my eyes, nose, and ears as possible. Sylvester Stallone once said in an interview, "The hardest part in the world for me was turning down $1 million offer when my wife was about to go to the hospital, and I only had a little over $100 in the bank, but I said to myself, just hang in there. One more round." Rocky wasn't the most talented boxer in the world, but he fought the finest boxers in the world and told himself, hang in there. It's only about this round. Most of us will survive another round if we remain strong. In another interview, he was asked about his most challenging experience. "I've probably experienced many more such moments in my life than any of you." Here again, I will recall Rocky, who says that I don't mean how powerful a punch you can throw, but how terrible a punch you can withstand, endure, a punch that if you lose your senses and lose your balance, can you stand up at that time and afford another such punch or not? That's the difference between a champion and a runner-up. If you can withstand the strongest punch and get back on your feet, this world is yours. Rocky, Stallone, and Rambo are just like us. What is special is that he has learned to stand till the last round. Life is an exam that everyone has to pass before they can learn. So be strong and remind yourself, just hang in there. This is the one special person who won, not the runner-up or loser.